Hello everybody, my name is Lush Eisner and welcome to the Canadian Money Talk, the channel about Canadian investing and personal finance. Please like and subscribe. I record 2 videos per week, so make sure you ring the notification bell to get notified each time one comes out. In this video, I wanted to share some details and recent changes in my TFSA. My TFSA is an experiment with only index ETFs, geographically diversified. And in my TFSA, I maxed out the $88,000 limit over the years, and now it's worth about 150,000. This is only about 4% of my liquid portfolio, the rest being individual stocks, mostly Canadian, and a significant amount in actively managed mutual funds. Note that I started using Wealthsimple for my TFSA in the last 6 months, so the return shown on this screen is just for that period. Please note that I'm not advocating for any of these ETFs nor giving financial advice. I could have used similar ETFs from another company. Depending on your risk profile, you will have to choose your own. So I started my TFSA with XIC, which is the Canadian composite, the XUS ETF, which follows the S&P 500 index, which has done disproportionately well, and I had XEF, which covers the EFI index, which stands for Europe, Australasia, Far East. And the latest addition has been VEE, which is Vanguard's emerging markets. So looking at the XIC, it's had a decent 10-year performance and is mostly financials, energy, and materials because that's all we have in Canada. The XUS has had a good 5-year performance. It has a lot of technology, which Canada doesn't have at all. So there's the diversification. Financials, obviously different types of banks in the US, and they have healthcare, for which Canada just has cannabis, which I would argue isn't healthcare. And the XEF, the 5-year performance isn't great, but at least it's positive. And also, it is heavy in financials, consumer goods, and healthcare once again. The countries, as you'll see in a second, are all developed nations, however. My investing thesis is that growth will be in emerging markets with young, growing populations where the application of technology can do a lot to improve performance and profits at companies. While in developed markets, the population is old and stagnating or decreasing, and they're not spending money. So it is hard for local companies to grow and make more money when the population is not growing. You could argue that especially US companies from the S&P 500 are worldwide, so you don't need emerging markets, but I wanted to do emerging markets anyways. So despite that, in March of 2023, I sold off 17,000 from the US fund, which had gone up the most, so I sold off the most. I sold 10,000 from Canada because that was the second best performing, and only 5,000 from the EFI ETF, and purchased 32,000 and change of VEE to get the real kick from the population growth in the emerging markets. And I don't think I was getting such a kick with the EFI index up until then. So VEE I chose because I already owned some in a non-registered account and because it was the only emerging market ETF that had a positive 10-year return. It is different from my other ETFs in the sector breakdown, with technology once again leading, and the countries are now actually developing countries. The true emerging markets should outperform in the long run, although emerging markets have been a growth story recently as well. The US had done well over the years, hence the big run up in XUS. So I sold off the most from the XUS ETF. Canada had beaten the US performance recently, and while it had been said year after year that Canada and the rest of the world, after years of underperforming the US, will finally do well, it actually looks like it's finally happening, and it happened in 2022 as well. I had built up a large position in the EFI index because that had underperformed Canada and the US, and I kept adding to it. So I kept that large position and sold only a little to give it a chance to finally do well, since EFI hadn't done well for years. My thesis had been early in its timing, unfortunately. So now I have the emerging markets as an equal position to US and Canada, and will continue to add to the emerging markets $500 on a monthly basis into my TFSA. So I hope you got some useful information from a look at my TFSA. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. This is just what is right for me. If you have any requests on what you would like me to cover in future videos, please put that in the comment section. If you'd like to get in touch, please reach out on any of these social media channels, and may you have a profitable day.